Hello and welcome to the latest edition of the Andzen Approach. On this episode, we're joined by Shaan, CEO and co-founder of Alia. I'm also joined by Brendan, founder at Andzen, and I'm of course Jason, director at Andzen. Shaan, thanks for coming on board.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Shaan, good to see you. We are in Vegas still, day 2 of Shoptalk. So good to see you, mate. Thanks for jumping on the pod.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
You're very welcome.
I'm really keen. This is only the second time we've had a founder on over the platform. So I'd love to start off with you maybe telling you a little bit about your story, telling us about Alia, but also kind of what was your vision? What was your reason for starting the platform and what are you trying to achieve?
Yeah, for sure. Happy to dive into that, right? So I'm 23, so I graduated college about a year and a half ago.
Cute.
And while I was in college, I was helping my mom transition her retail store into the online setting, right?
Nice.
To a Shopify store. I was doing so and, running ads, doing those kind of things, right?
Yeah.
And kind of one of the first things I did is like, what's a pop-up? So I went into the discovery of like, what is a pop-up? What does it do? And what I realized is, number one is it's the best way to get more revenue in emails revenue. Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's like the more subscribers you have, inherently you should be able to make more money.
Yeah.
To me, that seemed kind of obvious, but I mean, the ones that existed, I don't think were doing that, right? And it was like, there's a lot of basic versions of it. Like, why is there nothing that is specifically the best at this one thing? But doing it in like kind of a more modern way and approaching modern brands and doing it like from a design standpoint too, didn't really exist. So I saw that gap in the market. I also saw that in the pop-up, it was really just email and SMS. And I was like, what else can you do? Can you tell a bit about the brand? Can you tell a bit about the story? I just thought there was more.
Yeah,
So
of course.
I was helping her build a store, and I was like, wait, I think there's a pretty big gap in the market for a pop-up. Let me see if I can make a better one.
Yeah.
So, work with my team. We ended up making something that I thought was better. Took on a CTO who's also from my college. Launched the company, had 2 brands using it.
Nice. And was one of them your mother's?
Yeah, one was my mom.
Yeah, that's great, man. Family support.
And then one was this friend I had in college who was like, sure, I'll use it.
Yeah.
And then the third was my co-founder's cousin, right?
Yeah,
so like,
great.
But
that's grassroots.
Yeah. Graduated, had about 2 brands, but I was like, I'm gonna go full-time anyways. So went full-time, lived at home for 6 months, got to like about 20 brands using it.
Great.
And then last year we took from having about 20 brands to now having actually over 900. So yeah, I saw a ton of
phenomenal growth.
Thank you.
Wow.
Yeah. So yeah, I saw a ton of growth just in the past year. We actually went from 120 brands to 900 in the past 8 months.
Wow.
So yeah, we've grown a lot. And I think the biggest reason is because we've chosen to do one thing, which is the pop-ups, and do nothing else.
Yeah.
But do that one thing extraordinarily well.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah, I think it would be great for the listeners to dive in a little bit more about what you were saying there around like the storytelling and the function of the pop-up, because I think that's probably the biggest thing. When I was first introduced to the platform, I remember the conversation I was having, it was actually with a merchant, and they were talking about the complexity of their product, right? They were in kind of a saturated market in the protein space, but they had some really important specific things about their product that they wanted to be able to convey. And then we kind of went on that discovery and, looking at Alia, that's how we ended up getting there. So I'm keen for you to maybe just elaborate a bit on like that function.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, like, I mean, within Alia, there's 2 main components, right? One is like, let's get your opt-in rates to beat what your previous pop-up was giving you for the opt-in rates. And the second part is, can we educate site visitors in the pop-up? And to be transparent, the first part of that, let's get your opt-in rates up, that works for every single brand under the sun, because every brand can do better for opt-in rates. Now, the second part of the education, which is the education, works well for 2 kinds of brands. One, as you mentioned, like brands that have a complex product, right? Complex product offering, where educating the customers leads to better conversions, and they've seen that happen before. And the second being brands that have a great story. Hostage Tape's one of our clients. Their founder Alex has a very great story. He tells it within the pop-up through Alia. Right. The idea is that after someone's opted in for email and SMS through the pop-up, they can get a higher reward for being educated about the brand. So I think for the brand you mentioned, let's say it's like a 10% off for email and SMS, and then 15% off for taking 30 seconds to learn about the brand. Kind of thinking about it in like putting the welcome the welcome email of the welcome series into the pop-up itself, but kind of in a more like gamified way, where they get a reward for doing so. And again, like we see great opt-in rates from the first side of that, and then on the education piece, which is always after the opt-in of the customer, we see really good like purchase conversions.
I think that the staged approach is really what's kind of unique about this. Right?
Jason explained this to me the other day, and I immediately thought about our own process. So we do these comprehensive audits for brands, as part of our kickoff, and getting access to their Klaviyo accounts and their e-com stack, working everything out and sort of finding where the opportunities exist. But in order to take that first step, there's a fair bit of trust involved. Like they have to give access, there's NDAs involved. They have to really understand the value of the audit. And I was like, how good would a Alia pop-up form where we can step them through? And these audits sort of range between, 2,000, 5,000, depending on how complex it is. But, read some information, find out the value proposition, get 5% off, go through the steps, get the NDA, get the access sorted, 10% off.
Exactly.
Step them through. I think that's fantastic.
I really like I think like you said, it's that gamified piece, but it also feels genuinely rewarding for the customer.
Totally.
So you're kind of mixing those things. But I think the third crucial bit that you kind of touched on before is that it's modern, right? Like the platform is like a very design first kind of platform. So it's very much guiding the merchant and like this thing needs to like look good, not just function well too. And which kind of leads me on to the next piece that I'm keen for you to talk a bit more about is one of the things that I really liked when we first met was you're kind of like, you know what a pop-up is, we do pop-ups, like you get it. I don't need to explain that. But when you get into the platform, there's actually a huge focus of the platform and the UI itself is on split testing and the emphasis you guys put into making it easy for a merchant to test different rewards, different timings, different kind of stuff. And I guess testing is one of those things that merchants always will say they want to do, but they have very limited time. And when you have limited time, a lot of these platforms, they don't make it easy to split test, right? It's not logical. It's not like a simple setup, whereas you guys have tried to make it just incredibly easy so that they don't actually have to put in that much effort to start validating some of these things. And like you said, that's how you get from 1.5% to 2% to 3-4% opt-in rate. So I'm keen to hear a little bit about the kind of your ethos there around building that.
Yeah, such a great question. I'm glad you brought it up as well. Testing is the crux of building, I think, anything great, right? And when you come to let's say Alia and you try out the pop-up at first, right? You'll see an increase in opt-in rates, and then the huge value add is like, okay, now what do we test? Now do we test offer? Do we test copy? Do we test time delay? Do we test graphics, right? And each of those, right, can incrementally bring your pop-up up, right? Let's say you come in with like a 4%. We test time delay, that brings it to like a 6.2%. You then test copy, it brings it to like an 8%. You then test offer and it brings it to 10%. And we've seen that time and time again. Where if you can test the right things, and I think the benefit of what we do is that we know what tests work. Right? Because if you look at a pop-up, right, you can literally test every single piece of it, but like when you don't have the context as to knowing what tests are the ones to run, it can feel like you're throwing stuff at a wall and hoping it sticks. Right? It's like, oh, do I test like 15 versus 10, or do I test like you've got to what do I test, right? And I think platforms don't do a great job of telling you should test this or you shouldn't test this, but like that's the ethos, right? It's like come into Alia. The first test we're going to do is a time delay. Then we'll test copy, right? Like mystery offer copy. We'll test offers and we'll test graphics as well, right? Those 4 tests, even just like not even that rigorous testing, just those 4 tests right there will get you a significant increase, right? And then you can get more granular. Like, what about I change this word? If I change this image, what if I do like 3 versus 4 versus 3.5, right? You can get very granular then. But if you just do those 4 things, right? So like, let's test the copy that's there. Let's test the offer. Let's test the time day, and let's test like one graphic change. You're already getting you're getting a majority of the way there.
Yeah.
And let's say the last like 20% is like the nuanced parts of those testing.
Yeah.
And I assume you're exposing, I guess, all of those test results within the platform.
Yeah. And
how good.
And I think something unique that we do, and it's because we're a Shopify app built into the Shopify, is we actually show on-site conversion rate.
Yeah.
Right. And like it's so important because yes, you want to optimize for opt-in rates, but if having a better pop-up means you're losing like 5 points on your CVR, like probably something to think about, right?
Yeah.
But there's been cases where, you know, having a full screen pop-up versus not a full screen pop-up can increase the conversion rate or it can actually decrease it, right?
Yeah.
There's decisions companies need to make there.
Yeah.
But within other platforms, they actually don't show conversion rate, and it's like, oh yeah, we got you 20% opt-in. It's like, okay, that's great, but my conversion just tanked. And like we have guardrails where it's like, oh, if your conversion rate is dropping by this much, we're actually going to end the test for you automatically.
Yeah.
And just kill the test so that, you know, you're not going to see a CVR loss.
Yeah.
Or that's really interesting.
Or if CVR is going up, then we maybe pump more folks
Traffic
towards
into that,
right?
Yeah.
And, you know, what we're doing right now is we actually run those tests for our brands. So my co-founder, our team, like we sit down and we run those tests for our brands, right? I mentioned we've got about 900 brands. So as we're going to scale, what we're building right now, and we've already built it, is infinity testing. So 24/7 for our customers, there's going to be tests running all the time.
Nice.
Using our best practices.
Yeah.
Like internally, we built out hundreds of best practices. It's like, let's run these best practices as A/B tests 24/7 for our brands.
Yeah.
So brands don't have to even think about what tests are on. It's just automatically running them.
Yeah.
And the AI is just getting literally better and better as we get more data and as we run more tests for brands. So that's super exciting, and that's really like that's been built right now. And currently, my co-founder is doing it manually. We're taking my co-founder's knowledge and putting it into AI, so every customer gets all that A/B testing done for them.
Fantastic.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I think that conversion rate piece is really important. I actually last night was having a chat. As you do at Shoptalk, you just meet people that have really interesting businesses. We were speaking to a conversion rate optimization guy, and we were actually talking about pop-ups.
Oh, nice.
And he was saying how important it is to make sure that the coupon code is in the pop-up, not in the welcome email, because it's really good for conversions. And I was saying to him that it's interesting because we actually recommend testing that and measuring the rate at which orders with coupons is going month to month. Because what we've seen is if people learn that the coupon code is in the pop-up, you sometimes get a really big spike in bounce rate from the welcome email and a huge jump in the number of orders per month that have a discount because people learn they can just put anything into the pop-up and get the coupon code. And so you start actually losing data because you might have one person who's been a customer 3 times, but they shopped with their work email, their personal email, their college email. So you have all this disparate data about this one customer, and you're giving away maybe 10% on every order. But to your point, like when I was talking to him about it, he was like, you know, it never occurred to me to be looking over here for this stat, over there for that stat. He was purely just looking at, well, what's the on-site conversion rate, and it goes up dramatically if the coupon code's there, well, then that's the best thing to do. But then, you look at the margins behind the scene or the bounce rate on the welcome email. What impact is that having on deliverability? You need to kind of bring these things together, right? And I really like that you guys are, to your point, every other pop-up tool I know, the focus is on opt-in rate. And the conversion rate is vital. Like if you're spending $2, $3, $4 per click and your conversion rate's going down, but you're getting more emails, it's maybe not the best strategy.
Yeah, that's true. And to your point about like showing it on the site versus not showing the site, an A/B test we love to run as well.
Yeah.
And the data I've seen over the brands tells us that you actually do see a higher purchase conversion rate when you show it on site, but typically you'll see a lower open rate in the email.
Yeah.
Right, and like that's a trade-off that I think brands need to think about.
Yeah.
Like if you really care a lot about LTV, if that's like if you're a huge AOV brand and LTV and it's not an immediate one time, let's make a purchase today. It's like let me think about it. You probably don't want to put on the site, right?
Yeah.
But if you're a and we work with brands like this. If you sell like $5 stickers,
Yeah.
you show it on the site because
you need that conversion.
Yeah, you need that conversion, right?
Yeah.
And LTV is just less important. Just like gifting brands, right? Sometimes LTV is less important. Whereas if you're buying like, you know, a couch or something, like they're not going to convert in 20 seconds.
Yeah.
Like they need to at least think about it.
Yeah.
I think like it's for different brands it makes sense. And,
Yeah.
Either way, it's good to A/B test that though, even for different industries.
Yeah.
Nice one. Well, I think we might have a word from our sponsor.
Cool.
Founded in 2012, Klaviyo is the only CRM built for B2C brands. Powered by our built-in Klaviyo data platform and AI insights, Klaviyo combines marketing automation, analytics, and customer service into one unified solution, making it easy for businesses to know their customers and grow faster. Klaviyo helps relationship-driven brands of all sizes deliver one-to-one experiences at scale, improve efficiency, and drive revenue. Chat to the team at Andzen or visit andzen.co/KLAVIYO to find out more and get started.
And we're back. So please check out andzen.co/podcast. You will, of course, get this episode. You can like and subscribe. Find it on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, all of the places as usual. Jumping back in, let's maybe chat about a couple of specific use cases.
Yeah. So I think one of the fun things about, I guess, how we actually got connected directly is an old colleague of Brendan and I's. So we've told the story on the podcast before that we used to be in email marketing software, and it was actually the original founder of that software. He now has a CBD brand, and we were speaking to him, and he mentioned using you guys because, again, he has that really big brand story that he wants to sell. So we'd been exposed to the platform before, but we hadn't met personally. So it was kind of a fun, like, full circle moment to speak with him, and then now we're being on with you. But I'm really keen to, like, go into a bit more of that conversation that we had when we were going through the platform. There were a bunch of really interesting specific strategies that you mentioned. I think one of the great things about e-com as well is that for the people that are listening, they're potentially on a laptop right now at work. They could just plug the platform in and start having a play around. So what are a couple of like great examples that you have from merchants that are doing cool things?
Totally. Yeah. And I'm happy to be very like specific and to give like good advice and what like, if you use our platform or not, that's totally okay. But at least go into your Klaviyo pop-up and try these out first. Just because they're like easy, low-hanging fruit stuff that I'm happy to share.
Fantastic.
Right. So first would be, I've seen a lot of pop-up players do, and the crazy thing to me is like huge brands, 9-figure brands, like they are not even optimizing their pop-up. So like it's okay if you're not right now because it might not seem like it's valuable, but it is super valuable. First thing would be, right, when you see a pop-up, and the email collection field is on the first part of the pop-up. That's not best practices. Right. So like if it says get 15% off, enter your email, and the email field is there, that's actually not the best practice. I've seen pop-ups have, and I'm sure there's people listening to this where it's like email collection field, SMS collection field, and name collection field all in the like the first page. That's really not the best practice because you actually see higher opt-in rates when you ask a question as the first step of the pop-up.
Interesting.
So there's two kinds of questions, right? One is a micro commitment question, which is, do you want a discount? Yes, no. So that's going to outperform an email collection pop-up every day. Now the one that's going to even further outperform that is a poll question pop-up. And I mean, we work with a ton of brands. We work with Milk Makeup, Patrick Ta, Breeze, Solo Wave, Obvi. We work with a bunch of awesome brands, a bunch of 9-figure brands, and they all use this strategy, which is you actually put a poll question at the beginning. So for Patrick Ta, right? Actually, they don't do it, but I think Milk Makeup does this, where they ask like, "Hey, what are you shopping for today?" And also Nike is one of our clients. They do this too. They say, what are you shopping for today, right? And they sell all the different equipment. It's like home gym equipment, apparel, sweats. They have 4 answer choices, right? Now, the crazy part about this is it actually outperforms the yes versus no question.
Yeah, right.
The poll question outperforms that.
Yeah.
2 great things about it. 1, you get zero-party data off the bat.
Yeah.
And that is very, very easily segmented into Klaviyo with the Klaviyo pop-up or through the Alia pop-up.
Yeah.
Where, if they answer in the Alia pop-up, I'm here shopping for home gym, that flows into their profile.
Yeah.
You then segment them an email, great zero-party data off the bat.
Yeah.
Right. And by asking a question, people are more likely to go through the entire flow versus if they had just seen the email collection field up front.
Yeah, nice.
There's the idea of I've already been micro-committed to
Yeah,
this, right?
yeah.
Like I've taken one easy step already.
Yeah.
I'm more likely to complete the email, thus I'm more likely to complete the SMS.
Yeah.
Thus I'm more likely to go ahead and make a purchase.
Yeah.
Right. So bringing customers through that funnel. Advice there is don't put the email field. Definitely don't put the email field with the SMS with the name up front.
Definitely not. Yeah.
It's gonna scare people away.
Yeah.
Have it be a poll question where you ask you can even ask are you a man or woman or other? You can ask very simple questions.
Yeah.
That's good data for you.
Yeah.
And very easy answers for them.
Yeah, I really love that because this is something that we did very early days when we were, ourselves being an e-com agency. We were working with a Australian retail brand. There was a family-owned brand. They sold athletics wear, so it was an activewear store. But they sold Nike, Adidas, Puma stuff. They had a couple of physical retail locations around Sydney, but they've been doing it for 40 years. It was the kid was taking it over from his dad who'd started the brand, and he was really bullish on e-com. And we just said to him in the pop-up, we should just collect gender. So that in the welcome series, rather than just saying shop by brand or whatever, we could say top footwear for women, top footwear for men, depending on what they came through. And we just dynamically changed the hero image as well, put a man in or a woman in. And the previous conversion rate of their welcome series, I think was around 7% or something like that, which is pretty low, but it was just one email that had a coupon code in it. We fleshed out a full series, did some educational stuff in there, but it was all based on what gender they chose, and if they didn't choose a gender, then there was fallback for popular products. We kind of try to collect, depending on what they click on, judge what they might be shopping for. Conversion rate went up to over 20%.
Oh wow! Nice.
So you're talking about before less than 1 in 10 people purchasing to now 1 in 5.
That's huge, yeah.
And it seems like such a innocuous thing to just ask for that up front. But the quality of experience the customer has, where then everything they see is personalized, right? That welcome email, because it's got that product feed in it. If you're sending them there, it's not as disruptive to the journey because now they're effectively on a collections page just within the email. And then they can click on a product, and when they go back on site, they are those couple of layers deeper than they were when they started the platform. Started the pop-up.
Right.
And then on the commitment side, so if you're listening to this and you think I don't know, adding steps to my pop-up, you're saying it sounds good, but I'm not sure if it is. We work with a couple of brands in the workwear space in AU. So you think their customers are tradies, right? These are not people who like to be super technical. They don't like marketing. If you ask them if they like marketing, their pop-up, once we put the SMS on a second page after email, the rate of people putting their mobile number in went up to over 90%.
Wow, nice.
And so you think about tradies, most of them would hate to be marketed to on SMS, you would think, right? But like you said, it's that little commitment. Once you feel like you're in the journey, you're completing all the steps.
Totally.
And they have had exponential growth in their SMS program because of that. So yeah, it definitely works. What else? Any other?
Oh yeah. Yeah, definitely. More than happy to share more tips, right? Another easy win here, which works super well, is let's try out mystery copy. Right? You've got a mystery discount. Will oftentimes outperform anything else in terms of performance. Now, there's a caveat there that if you have a really great offer, right? If your offer is 20% off, let me say 30% off to 50% off, you're probably better off saying that.
Yeah.
However, if your offer is 15% or less, you're pretty much always going to have mystery. You've got a mystery discount, beat you've got 15% off, like guaranteed every time.
Okay.
Right. For the reason being that they don't know what's behind it, right?
Yeah.
In their mind, it could be
it could be 50% off. Who knows?
Off, right? So that one thing can significantly skyrocket opt-in rates. I mean, and the cool thing about that is you actually don't need to give any crazy discount, but you could still have an amazing opt-in rate. Like, let's say you were giving 20% off before. Now you could give out 10% off, have mystery discount, save margin, and have a higher opt-in rate. Yeah. So like that's a very tactical thing that I think brands can implement today. Is like, oh, let me give myself 10% back of my company, of my sales, and let me see my opt-in rates increase. Like that is very powerful. Yeah. So definitely recommend testing that. Some brands don't love the aesthetic of saying you've got a mystery discount, and that's a brand choice. Like we work with a ton of high fashion and luxury brands as well, and they're like, can we try exclusive discount or personalized gift, like stuff. You can change copy to fit it to your brand's aesthetic, but majority of brands are more than happy to try out you've got a mystery discount, and that is a great winner most times.
Yeah, great.
I want to go the opposite direction and ask you like one of your pet peeves or one of the things that you really dislike about pop-ups that you're seeing other brands do.
Yeah, for sure. I think one of the lowest hanging fruits that I've seen as well is at the end of the pop-up, instead of them being on whatever page they are when they finish the pop-up, like, I think a very easy thing to do, and it's kind of a pet peeve to me because I think it's really just like you can do it every platform, is dropping them into the collection page that you want to drop them into. Yeah. Right. Like let's say they complete the pop-up on the home page. Like Obvi does this, for example. Obvi drops them into their the collection page they want to drop them into. Yeah. You can drop them into a very specific LP as well. Yeah. Right. And you can also do logic in a lot of places where it's like if they're on this page, don't redirect. But if they if they're already on a collection page, probably don't want to redirect them. But if they're on their home page, you might as well redirect them to a new LP. Yeah. And I mean, brands spend so much money creating great landing pages, and it's like, oh, there's another way you can redirect traffic to your landing page is actually through the pop-up. And dropping them onto the collection page that you want to drop them onto is a very easy win.
Yeah, especially like you said, if you're collecting that piece of information up front, like the Nike example and they're shopping for home gyms, well, then at the end of the pop-up, just send them to the home gym collection, right? Like, exactly, and you just cut any sort of nav confusion, particularly if they're on mobile, simplify the journey so much more for them and get them to that layer deeper. And then like what we would say on the email side as well is then they're also on a page where you're triggering things like viewed collection events. And then if they abandon, then we know that they got that layer deep. We can start sending them the browse abandonment flows or SMS to try and get them back on the website rather than that session just being lost.
Totally.
I think I'm keen to just chat about one more example because you kind of mentioned it there, and I think it's something that we come up with a fair bit, where those higher end brands where maybe they're very nervous about a pop-up because they're not sure if it's like, fits the aesthetic. They're, certainly not discount led, so they don't want to be using any discount language in their pop-ups. What's the strategy that you guys are using for those kind of brands to engage people?
Yeah, for brands that are not keen on giving a discount, get early access is an easy one that works pretty well, and you'll still see good collection rates there. Of course, most times if you give it a discount, it'll outperform early access, but it's an option, and you don't need to give out any discount. They just join your newsletter. Yeah. But you can still collect some pretty high rates, and you can probably have some good copy around there, like get early access to like this new collection line we're dropping, or like be the first to know. There's some good copy you can try around there for luxury brands.
Yeah, this is essentially what we recommend as well. Like leverage the sense of community and exclusivity. If we're not going to go for a discount, then it's just about creating buy-in with the brand, right? And so, promises like early access or being the first to know, that for a high-end brand is actually probably more rewarding than a discount, especially because stock levels are usually low. People know that if they don't get notified straight away, their size is almost certainly going to sell out. They're going to miss out. Right. So it's a great way of doing it.
All right. Controversial question. Spin to win. Yes or no?
Look, depends on the brand, but it's mostly a pass from me.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, what do you think?
I mean, the numbers don't lie, honestly.
Yeah.
It's quite significantly will outperform most other things or most brands. Now the aesthetic of it is a different question. Mini Katana, if you guys know them, it's one of our brands too, and it resonates well with their population.
Yeah. Okay.
We actually, funny enough, had this caviar brand that's using, and caviar obviously is high end. But they're using it. It's working pretty well for them.
Yeah, interesting.
So like, I wouldn't knock it until you try it. To be honest, for brands, it is a super easy way to get some really nice opt-ins.
Yeah.
And if you believe it fits with your brand's aesthetic, like by all means, try it out.
Yeah.
I'd say one piece of advice also is like, in the spin to win, like make all the discounts good.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. If you put like one is free shipping, one is like 1% off, like, like I don't even want to spin this for the chance that I get free shipping.
Yeah.
If you can make all the discounts pretty good, there's a high chance they're going to spin it to get a good discount.
Okay.
Nice.
Cool.
Nice. I personally hate it, but I've been doing this long enough to know that my personal opinion doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And my perception of a brand or their tactics don't matter. The only thing that matters is data.
Yeah,
What's
exactly.
actually true.
Yeah. And A/B test it.
Yeah.
A/B test it. See if it's worth it. I mean, we saw a brand have like 80% increase. From
wow.
Like we've seen how brands have crazy things when they try spin to win. We do recommend it simply because we know it's super powerful.
Yeah, I mean, 80% increase is like most people would give you their arm.
Yeah, exactly.
So like, if the settling is for just a spin to win, that's pretty easy. Yeah.
Thank you very much for being on the pod. For everybody, again, andzen.co/podcast. You can get this episode and we'll have a bunch of information as well. All right, Shaan, where can people find more about Alia?
Yeah, it's a good question. On our website, Alia Learn, ALIALEARN.com. Best place to find out more about us. And I post a lot on LinkedIn. I post a lot of strategies on LinkedIn as well. So just my name, Shaan Arora on LinkedIn. I like to give tactical advice on pop-ups, so always sharing tactical stuff there.
Fantastic. We'll put all the links in the description as well. Thanks again for being on the pod. Fantastic. Enjoy the rest of Shoptalk.
Yeah,
Cool,
enjoy.
sounds good.
Thanks, man.
And can I do an offer plug as well?
Absolutely,
Okay.
yeah.
Like just now is fine, right?
Yeah,
do it.
Okay, yeah. And for anyone that comes from the podcast, we'll do 20% off the monthly subscription and 30 days free. So
Huge.
That's huge.
If you book a demo with me or you sign up and you just mention that you came from the pod, just tell us that on the demo, or if you just sign up yourself, and we'll do the 20% off and 30 days free.
There you go. If
Nice.
you're listening at your desk right now while working, go onto the website right now. Make use of that offer. The 30 days free. At the very least, you'll get some split testing done. You'll get a bunch of data to validate. That is a no-brainer. Do it right now.
Totally.
I'll put the details in.
Yeah.
All right, legends.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you
Thanks,
very
guys.
much. Cheers.